We'll have this recorded and sent to you when we're done. And then if you have any questions, you can just message me directly. And that's pretty much all there is to it. What got you interested in coaching?
Sure. I feel like I've kind of plateaued, right outside top 500 for the longest time. And I just can't claw my way in.
Sure. How long?
Let's see here. Honestly, since the season 9 reset, I just, it feels like I kind of forgot how to play and then just didn't get in.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, where were you before the reset?
I think like high GM3.
Okay, and then where have you been since the reset?
I'm
sure off and on, but like where have you kind of fluctuated?
Somewhere between Masters 2 and Masters 5, and then I'll drop down to Diamond 1 here and there.
Okay. So about the same rank-wise, right, in terms of percentage, but obviously not a real serious improvement, and I'm sure that's probably where the frustration stems from. Okay, so I'm looking at your form here, and you talk a little bit about DPS and support. Now, how has your hero pool been like? What has your role priority been like over the years, and how has that fluctuated, and where do you find yourself nowadays?
I definitely play more DPS, and it's actually my weaker role.
Interesting. Okay. Is that what you've played more of, like historically, like starting from the start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, that can sometimes be the case where like your initial role, you have all the bad habits, or you carried over a lot of fundamentals that you picked up in DPS into support. The reality is also that, like, all right, this is the reality of the situation. If you have DPS fundamentals in Overwatch 2 and good mechanics, and you play Ana or Kiriko, you're going to be better than like 10% or 15% of players like immediately, like from the scratch, right? So I find it's easier to rank up in support, not because Ana has like a lower skill ceiling than like Sojourn. I think she's even got a higher skill ceiling than something like a Sojourn. But the reality is that most Ana players are picking support because they want to heal their team, not because they want to like pop off, and that's why they're stuck in silver. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So like I would say that like when we could look at it, but I could tell you that your Ana might be like rank wise higher, but it's probably like actually like in terms of where you are on that skill curve, like you're actually not that high. But I understand the concern there. And so DPS is more of a priority for you.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. What's the actual breakdown right now in terms of playtime approximately? 60-40, 70-30?
Probably 70-30, I would say.
70-30? Okay, makes sense. And is that where you want to keep it moving forward? That's not like encouraged because you have a certain rank with a certain role? Is it just where you keep it regardless?
It's kind of just whatever I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
What influences
Sometimes
that
it's more
decision?
50-50, but I don't think there is influence. I just kind of do it.
Okay, fair enough. And then within the role, Ana mostly, a little bit of Curie, you said. Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's pretty much just Ana.
And then with DPS, you said basically you kind of have like, do I want to play flankers or do I want to play click shooters, right? Tracer, Echo, Sojourn, Widow. Has that changed since the time of the form?
Not really. Those are kind of the main ones. I think I've been playing a lot of Genji too lately. He feels decent this season.
Sure.
So it's been like Genji Sojourn.
Okay. What's the breakdown like this season? Like 80% those two heroes? More?
I would say so.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there like a philosophy about when you play what, or just again, kind of like you're saying, which role does what feels good?
Yeah, just whatever feels good, really. Also map dependent. Or
that's smart.
If my mechanics are feeling better on like Sojourn or hit scan or
because meta-wise right now, Genji Sojourn's definitely the play. I think Tracer's damage nerf not too long ago. I think Genji is a really nice matchup versus Hazard. Now, obviously, Sojourn's really strong. So, like, that just makes the most sense. But as long as you're not playing too many at any one given time, it sounds like you're primarily kind of leaning into two heroes or even one hero in the case of support per role, and I think that's okay. 6 days a week. My career demands lots of overtime, so I try to fit as much as possible during the week, around 4 hours under conditions. The meetings don't run too late. I will play longer on weekends, normally 2 separate long sessions of 3 to 4 hours. So sounds like anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, 6 days a week, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that all ranked?
Yes.
Okay. Is that all solo queue?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, sounds good. Are you fairly consistent at playing? Okay, well, I guess this would be the more important question. What reality is the playtime when you like wake up and you feel like playing support? Are you going to play Ana basically all day, or is it going to play a couple of games of Ana and pivot over? I mean, again, that might just change day to day, but like realistically, what does that usually look like?
I will pretty much stick to the same role per session.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll literally play Ana all day. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Um, Goals for Overwatch. I want to take this as far as I can, whether content creation or professional, perhaps both. I love this game. From the start, I find myself struggling to get the small simplest enjoyment out of others. Yeah, I mean, I get that 100%. So what do you hope to get out of the session? I kind of want to go back to the start here. And at the time of the forum, you said, I would like more insight on the structure of actually improvement and how to best approach playing two different roles, maybe some streaming tips too. So let's start with that. I want you to elaborate on any of those points that are still relevant right now, and we can kind of build from the ground up. Because I could tell you recommendations from some of the things that I'm seeing here, but I prefer to hear what you really are looking for here. Big question, I know.
Okay. What I'm looking for here.
Structure of improvement, how to best approach playing two different roles, streaming tips, like where do you want to dig into deeper?
Let's just get streaming tips out of the way.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Do you stream right now?
Not really. Only here and there. I know that's like kind of counterintuitive. Like consistency and is probably the best approach to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, consistency, but also finding like what do you like to stream? So for you, it's like I think gameplay streamers are a dime a dozen, right? So you have to do something different. You have to do something well to be, I think, successful as a streamer. Now, that doesn't necessarily, I think the first thing that pops in the mind is I have to be a high ranked player, but obviously I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think you just need to bring some sort of personality, some sort of unique take, some sort of different perspective or unique perspective, or just be something that's fun that you should really lean into. And that's something that took me many years to kind of develop on my end, not just to find what made me exceptional or different, right, than other streamers. But for me, it was also getting better at that specific skill. And I think that's what a lot of people don't say. Is like everybody says, or everybody should be saying, you need to stream what makes you unique, right? Like you need to be you. What makes you unique? What are you good at? What do you like doing? And then lean into that. That's the most important thing you can possibly do. If you trend chase, whether it's with YouTube or Twitch, and do nothing but trend chasing, unless you enjoy trend chasing, you're going to get like maybe cheap views and it's just going to die off. You're going to be irrelevant. Okay. There's a lot of plat diamond streamers out there that do okay in Overwatch, right? Just because they're unique or they're different. They got a good personality. They built the community, right? But the other thing here, and this is really important too, and this is really the second and final step, is you do need to be better at what you do. So if I just showed up super scuffed, coaching, and it doesn't matter if I'm XL, it doesn't matter if I can explain things really well. If the setup is scuffed, if the communication is scuffed, if the structure is scuffed, if the production is completely and utterly horrendous, not scuffed in terms of like it has personality, but just bad, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to stick around, right? So it's about finding what you do, whether it is streaming or YouTube or whatever, and then little by little being like, what could I do better? Could I improve the way that I communicate? Could I be funnier? Could I have a different structure to this idea? How should I be talking with chat? How can I get people in my community? How can I be advertising myself? And I think like that's the most important thing that a lot of people miss is they'll do what makes them unique, but they never make themselves better. And I compare kind of what I do now in streaming, and I'm not like a big streamer by any means, but like if I compare myself to where I was like a year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, it's kind of the same theme of content in general with some exceptions, but I'm just a lot better at it in a lot of different ways. I'm a lot better at presenting it, a lot better at communicating with it, a lot better at interacting. I spend a lot more time thinking of ideas of what I do on stream. Like I used to never like really plan my stream out. Now I do. So just things like that. So I guess that's just general feedback for you is like find out what you enjoy in terms of streaming and content creation, and then start slowly forcing yourself to giving yourself feedback, reevaluating what do I need to be doing better. And to actually stream successfully, like you said, you have to actually stream. but it could be very demotivating to stream to 0 viewers, right? I've been there for a long time. So what you have to do is you have to make sure it's something that you enjoy doing. I got into roast coaching years ago because I was tired of looking at my stream viewership of being like 2 or 3 viewers and just being like, dude, I have to sit here and VOD review for like 2 hours. This is going to be so boring. So I was like, yeah, let's just have some fun with it. And that's kind of what got me into roast coaching, and that kind of kept me interested. And when you are interested and you are engaged and you are involved, people pick up on that, right? So it doesn't mean you have to stay with that forever, but I do think you have to make sure that even if you have 0 viewers or 1 viewer or your uncle's watching, like you're at least having a good time doing what you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to stick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But easier said than done, right? There is a reason why everyone wants to get into it, but not many people do, because it's not just luck. It does take a lot of hard work and a lot of creative effort with not a lot of return for quite a long time. So that's my feedback for you. Now, in terms of structure of improvement, how to best approach playing 2 different roles, how deep do you want to delve into that? Because I have a lot of information on that too.
Sure. I guess the structure of improvement would be more important than like kind of splitting the attention between roles.
Sure. So let's walk the talk here. So I'm not going to give you just a bunch of general tips and tricks. Okay, I'm going to give you a specific guideline and give you specific goals within that. What aspects of your improvement do you feel like could be improved? Whether it's your practice schedule, your mentality, the way that you practice. I don't know. You tell me. You can delve deep into anything.
Yeah, I don't think I have like really meaningful practice. I'm kind of just playing ranked aimlessly.
Okay. Sure. Is it through a lack of energy? Is it through a lack of direction? Is it through a lack of knowledge of what you need to improve at, or a little bit of everything?
I think a little bit of everything.
Sure. Okay.
More leaning towards like lack of knowledge towards what I should be doing. Sure.
That's good, and that's the easiest one to address, right? That's why we're here. But the bad news is the other 2 are really difficult too, because you think about having a lack of direction if you're not exactly sure what you need, how you need to be, or what you're going for ultimately, like what rank, what do I need to be doing, what aspects of my mentality and my practice need to be improving. It can be a little bit aimless. And the bad news, even worse news, is that when we talk about the lack of energy, there isn't a great solution besides sleep and just quitting your job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people always make fun of me, like, because I always rank up off stream, whether it's when I'm playing Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, because by the time I get to stream gameplay, 5:30, 6, I've been streaming for 2 or 3 hours, I've been coaching for 4 or 5 hours, I'm gassed, right? So it's probably the same with you, right? You always play, by the time you play, like you've worked, and you don't have that same level of energy, that same level of willpower to perform your best. And it can be even hard to stay focused on practice too. It's not just like I'm not reacting as quickly or aiming as well. But if I were to give myself a goal, I find myself forgetting what I'm practicing or just not training really hard. That's very normal. And there's no real shortcut way around it. Besides getting a little bit more sleep, besides taking more breaks, and besides, I mean, really the best thing is you just have to measure your expectations. So right off the bat, get sleep, get up from your PC between every game if you can. Like, I think those are the 2 low-hanging fruits, like immediately if you can.
Yeah.
Your sleep is not bad, but it can always be a bit better. The other thing to point out as well is in terms of squeezing like the maximum amount of practice value that you can, I think the best thing that you could possibly do is go into every game with the expectation that you're going to forget what you're working on for over half the game every single time without exception. So just try your best. I came up with this phrase a few years ago called the 2-fight rule. I was working with a guy like you, he's like 50 years old. He's working all day. He's got kids. He plays Overwatch for like an hour a night. I was like, dude, just practice what you need to practice for 2 fights. Just try to remember it for 2 fights, whether it's your positioning or crosshair placement or whatever you're working on. Just 2 or 3 fights. And maybe for you, it could be more than that. Maybe for you, it's like, hey, I'm going to aim for like 4 or 5 fights, whatever. But like, just force yourself. If I'm going to autopilot for 80% of the game, at least I'm going to get those 20% of fights where I'm really locked in and developing and learning. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're just going to have more limited expectations than like an 18-year-old kid with no responsibilities. So that's just kind of how it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be specific about what you need to practice, We'll try to improve your sleep. We'll make sure that you're taking breaks so that you're able to kind of mentally reset and go back into the next game with a little bit more energy. And then obviously limit our expectations around what you're actually able to put out, because that's reality of your situation. Now, does that make sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions about any of that?
I don't think so. I think it's all pretty cut and clear.
Okay, then I really don't have anything else for structure improvement, to be honest with you. It's just about doing the really boring things and doing them relatively well. We could sit here for hours and talk about other things, but honestly, if you can check those boxes, you're fine. Now, balancing the roles is going to take a little bit more work, because I assume that that's something that you want to continue to do, right? Like, I still want to play Ana.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy both the roles about the
Right.
same. And if I can keep both of them going, then yeah.
Okay. So my recommendation would be simply have a little bit more idea. Have like a baseline of like, I'm going to play support 2 days per week. I'm going to play DPS 2 days per week. And then I will sometimes play DPS 4 days a week. I'll sometimes play support 4 days a week. But at least I'm going to check those 2 boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just set like a minimum requirement of 2 days per week, and then just let yourself feel it out a little bit, but do be deliberate with that. And I think honestly that's probably fine. I think you could experiment with having days where you played on both roles. Like let's say you do the first 3 games are Ana, and then you pivot over to DPS, and try that and see how that goes. Like every day is a little bit of both, but I don't know. I think that it's worth experimenting for you between which one works better. But I would just, at the very least, have designated days, at the very least.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, again, there's no real shortcut there. The good news is that you're at least playing characters that are mechanically demanding, which is good. You are playing, really around only 3 heroes, mostly. So that's also good, right? So you're not spreading yourself super thin. And you are getting good hours in, too. So I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about here. So, okay, let's see here. Okay. Any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Okay. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? Obviously, let me know if this has changed, but the form says, I'm not entirely sure what holds me back. I feel my understanding mechanics are fairly solid, maybe not. I think my mentality fluctuates quite often, maybe not particularly in relation to the game. All the performance is affected, but general mental health, life, out to doom and gloom of everything will work out just fine after it. Again, team anxiety, wondering what my teammates are expecting, thinking, so often play out of VC with text chat muted. I think another contributing factor could be playing in lower rank with friends on an alt. Around mid-diamond, not sure if that would hinder my improvement due to low stakes competition. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit here. Playing with friends is fine. I would just prefer you to off-roll if possible. So okay. I prefer you to not play on. You can play support. You can play DPS. Just don't play Tracer. Just don't play Genji. Just don't play Ana. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just experiment with different heroes. You're playing for fun. You're not playing for practice in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't even bring any baggage. Like have a very clear differentiation between Ana is a practice and performance hero, not a playing with my friends hero. Otherwise you absolutely build bad habits. And it's just even psychologically you need to differentiate between the two, always. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in terms of your mentality fluctuating, I'm not a psychologist here, but I will say that you are going to bring, as you said, you're going to bring baggage from the day into your gameplay. So, the best things that you could, here's what I learned. When I was grinding Hazard to Masters recently, I just did a little experiment where I wanted to see if I brought bad habits into my training, somebody with a quote-unquote strong mental like myself, how I would do. And I did terribly. I actually had 2 or 3 days where I didn't sleep very well. I forced myself to play without taking breaks. I played with team chat on. I didn't take any breaks. I didn't get up, didn't stretch my legs. I didn't even warm up. And I played really poorly. And then I ice cold next day, get better sleep, took breaks, team chat off. All of a sudden I'm popping off. And I wouldn't say I have a weak mental. But I think to me, a lot of the mentality that you bring into the game is carried by the habits that you have in game and the way in your relationship with the game. So if you want to try to create a training environment where as few external factors come in, as little baggage as possible brings in, then I think it's really, really reasonable and wise to just put your priority on, am I doing things right? Am I taking those breaks? If I feel myself getting distracted by voice, whatever, just turn it off, right? Am I going in with specific goals? Because nobody, strong mental or not, is immune from the effects of poor choices, poor habits, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't worry too much about, what's my mentality like right now. Just worry about your habits. Worry about what you do. Don't worry about how you feel. Don't worry about how you think. The only thing I could recommend with that is making sure that you're focusing on the specific things you need to be focusing on. Like, this is a game where I'm practicing this, right? But once you've checked that box, you really can't worry about how you feel or how you think. You just need to control what you do and let the feelings go. That's the best recommendation I can have. Because reality is that nobody can fully control how they feel. You can only control what you do as best as you possibly can. So just, I think, a little bit of letting that go, take some of the pressure off of you, right? You don't have to worry about feeling cruddy or feeling annoyed or feeling tired or feeling doom and gloom. Just, what are you going to do about it? I know how you feel, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Which is, I know, easier said than done. And it's not going to be like, oh, light bulb moment, everything feels great. It's not, but it is going to take a little bit of pressure off of yourself. Everything is about simplify. That's why the best ranked players, best people that are the best at the game, oftentimes are not even coached because they didn't need to coach. All they needed to do is they just showed up and they really wanted to play Overwatch all day long, right? It's people like you, it's people like me who really like Overwatch, but sometimes we get in our own ways, right? You just need to show up. You need to want to do it. You need to have fun doing it. And for me, when you're talking about turning off team chatter, it's not even a question of competitive integrity, but do you have more fun when you just focus on yourself?
Yeah.
So then that's really the only answer you need. The question shouldn't be what is the most competitive integrity, but what's the most fun for you, right? And I think that's that. If you follow that path, then you're going to have a better relationship with the game. And I think you're also, ironically, going to practice better too. So you said partly mechanics, understanding mechanics probably fine, but not really sure. We'll obviously take a closer look at that today. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, a lot of little tidbits throughout this. I encourage you to, if you haven't been taking notes, to go back after the review and just take some notes on things that you'll do differently and things that you can try implementing. You don't need to implement everything that we talked about, but I definitely recommend implementing a couple of these things and seeing how they go. All right, got a replay code?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Easy. So this is a Genji game.
Okay. You like Genji a lot, yeah?
Yeah.
Dumb question, but just making sure we're operating from a position of choice, if that makes sense. Not necessity. I see a lot of Soj.
I have too. I don't really know what changed that made her much better.
Well, hang on. As in, the VOD you sent me, I think, is nothing but Soj.
Oh.
Well, actually, I don't even know if you're in this game. Oh, no, you're on Ana. This is an Ana game.
Oh, that's the wrong code. I mean, we can watch the Ana game.
I mean, it's fine. Your choice. We can do Genji first. Yeah, the big buff to Soj was the rail thing. And she also builds rail a little bit faster. So, like, the break points are, like, significantly easier. Even though it was only 20 damage, it's a big deal. I have my grievances with the balanced team's handle of Sojourn, but goes without saying. The thing that annoys me about Sojourn is I've been saying it for literally 3 years, since Alpha.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I understand the
feel. Is
feel.
That just because?
Go ahead.
Is that just like her design in general, or?
Well, the problem is that, like, I understand what they're trying to do is, like, have rail like this big blast of energy, right? But you can't, if the game doesn't want to do that, right? If they don't want the one-shot mechanic, then you can never have it, right? It just has to be a burst of, like a Soldier Helix rocket, but hit scan really is what it should be. But they don't want to do that. So, okay, so Genji, short off angles. How much of my Genji coaching have you seen before?
I think I've only seen 1 or 2 VODs.
Okay, what are you trying to do with this character? What are this hero's strengths? I kind of already spoon fed you, but try to think for your own for a second here and tell me what you think.
Yeah, I think I sort of play Genji the same way I would play Tracer, just getting value out of like distraction.
Sure. What's the main difference between the two?
You can be a lot more risky with Tracer, I would say,
How
just
so?
because of recall.
Yep. Okay. So you're more sustained on an angle without help. Okay. What else? There's an even bigger difference.
Why
does Genji work in this map? Why does Genji feel good in this map?
Just because of verticality.
The verticality, right? So that's what you need to be thinking about with Genji, right? Is the verticality allows you to access angles that you otherwise wouldn't be able to as a Tracer, right? So short range off angles, very similar to Tracer. The difference, he has verticality, Tracer does not, but Tracer can go much deeper and sustain on an angle with recall, as you said. Genji just doesn't do that as often. So, you basically just have to find with Genji. Have you played much Marvel Rivals?
Here and there, yeah.
A little bit. You played Magic any?
As much, but
you played Magic any?
I haven't tried Magic.
Okay, so basically it's similar to Magic, but with verticality, where it's less about the target with Genji and more about the position. So like I look at the situation here and I'm like, what space does Genji feel comfortable controlling, right? This feels a bit awkward because it's long. This feels a bit awkward because it's just, well, I'm just on the floor, right? This feels a bit awkward because it's flat. Maybe somewhere around here, right? Because there's that verticality and short range. So you really want to find like what makes me unique. And now I like this, right? But do you notice how you're approaching this Widow?
From up top.
From up top. So every single aspect of this engagement is something that Genji does that other characters cannot do, right? I mean, I think this is one of the best designed characters in any game I've ever seen because you have to role play to play this character properly. There's no dissonance with how you play and how you look. You are a cyborg ninja. That is exactly what you do. And so, I mean, that's good value, right? Like, obviously, we would have liked you to get the kill there, but you did the right thing. You approached it correctly, you used your cooldowns correctly, and you get good value. Nice. Yeah, I have no complaints besides mechanics there, which is the low-hanging fruit, but that kind of goes to the Mercy Wells, apparently. Yikes. Nicely done. Okay, good stuff. From a fundamental standpoint, you did all the right things. You used your verticality, you cycled your cooldowns well. I wouldn't. This is where we don't like it, though. Right? There's nothing about this that provides that verticality. I know you're thinking, let's compress the Widow, but you are going to get poked out here, guaranteed, because this space doesn't make sense for you. Right? You get poked from here, you get poked from here. Don't even bother.
Sure.
Because it's always opportunity costs, right? Because you're like, well, I'm doing something. Well, of course you're doing something. You could be sitting inside your backline throwing shurikens at the hazard from 55 meters and be doing something. But the question is what could you be doing instead? You tell me.
Right. I think that original high ground would probably be better.
I think so too. Compress, shoot the hazard, hold this angle, because this pharmacy that's on this Widow, they want to take space. You need to be there to prevent them from rotating forward, right? I understand that there's not a lot you can do, but it's better than shooting shurikens at a far and better than peeking Widowmaker like this. This is pointless.
Yeah.
You just take damage and you don't do anything. And this hazard ends up winning the tank duel. That's your fault. That's your responsibility. You should have been here holding this angle where the Widow couldn't see you and just dumping shurikens on his head, right? Again, that's what makes you unique, right? It's not even the tank matchup that, oh, you're good versus hazard. It's just you're good versus any tank from that position. I like the lack of hesitation when you see opportunities. I think that's very important. You're not being foolish. You're saying, okay, I have an opportunity here. I have CDs. I'm going to go for it. And I think that little killer instinct is really important to be a successful Overwatch player. Like even here, where do you want to go from here? What's the end goal?
Probably make it up top.
Probably make it up top. And you see again the opportunity cost, right?
Right. Because
you're addicted to the dopamine. And you really want those shurikens, right? Like, let's not lie. This feels kind of good, right? Tiki, tiki, tiki. But you're getting poked out. You don't win this range, right? And so now your deflect burns. Now you've lost a lot of HP. Now your dash is burned. You should have grabbed that Mega.
Yeah.
And now you've just been essentially MIA because you haven't set up where you needed to set up ages and ages and ages ago. So high highs, low lows. It's easy to look at this as more of a mechanical execution thing, but I think the mechanics have been okay. This is what we're talking about, right? Because this isn't about the stopping the Widow, is it? It's not about stopping the Widow. It's about what, from a positioning standpoint?
Are you saying go over on the other side, or
not necessarily, right? I like this, but not because necessarily Widow's here. But what about your positioning is good compared to what we've seen in the first point?
It's up top, and it sort of cuts off the hazard from their team.
Sure, it's just space that you can control, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. Why is that, right? Because why is that? Why is this area good for you?
I mean, it's much harder to contest a Genji in there, I would say. I mean, just because the verticality and it's enclosed.
Enclosed, yeah, that's it. That's it right there. Enclosed verticality, shorter range verticality. Pharah could not contest you in here. Hazard would have a hard time contesting you in here. That's really all you're looking for with this character, is you're looking at where is this fight happening, what angle makes the most sense for me, and that's pretty much it. All right? Now, if Widow wasn't here, what could you do instead? Like, let's say Widow was way over here. Now, you could die for a list from here, potentially, but what could you do instead? From this exact same positioning.
I guess shoot the hazard in the back.
You could shoot hazard in the back. Yep. Yeah. What else could you do? Go a little bit more high risk, high reward. That's low risk, low reward. Totally fine with that. Spice it up.
The Mercy.
Mercy. Yep. What else? Keep going.
Are you saying go to cart and
sure? Why not?
Diana?
Why not? Are you in a good position to at least threaten that? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Right over her head, no CDs used. So then how does the enemy team going to respond to that? Like, if you're this Mercy and I hear Genji going this way, what are you thinking? You get what I'm saying, right? Like, you're putting the pressure here without even necessarily having to commit to the Ana, right? So now the Pharah's unpocketed, or maybe the Pharah's going to actually end up chasing you, and then now you're isolating the hazard. And again, the point being is all roads lead back to you. Because you were in a very effective position, what you've done is you've amplified your value just by being here. It doesn't matter what you do from here. Everything's going to be better. You are now a 1.5 DPS, not just a 1, right? Right? And look at this. She's going to keep chasing, right? Hazard's still isolated. You've got 1, 2, 3 resources that you've dealt with here, one of which you killed. It's perfect. Well done. You understand what I'm saying, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Everything of your value is magnificent in comparison to kind of hovering here and even hovering here, right? Where your value is just almost non-existent. Where Pharah would throw 1 rocket, and then you're kind of just MIA for about 15 seconds. Nice job. See, I don't even mind this. This is risky, but is this your playground? Yes, this is great for you. This is all sorts of stuff that you can do here. So I like this. It's risky, but I have confidence that you're going to get stuff done here. Like, there you go. 1 kill. They can't kill you because there's like a million things you can wall climb on. Low risk, low reward. Do you see the difference here, right? Like, are you performing infinitely better mechanically? No, you're just in a better spot. So it's so much harder for them to go for you. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I don't like reaching with Blade, especially without deflect. This probably shouldn't work. Yeah, so.
I don't think it does. Oh, wait.
I mean, you got the kill. You got the kill. Yeah. I thought you were going to die for it, but I think you're on ahead of healing you, which was nice. You're a little early on the deflects, I've noticed. Like right here. I guess it's like you could just react to the Pharah actually shooting.
Okay.
It's just very important that you hold this angle for as long as you can, right? So, and a lot of that's going to be around your deflect, but that's more of a nitpick. This has all been good. Don't bother, don't bother. I mean, you're just impossible to get rid of here. I mean, even that, right? Like, you could take that duel here because you're so freaking close. Get up there. Yeah. I mean, I'm very tempted to just kind of cruise through here. I'm going to be looking at your CD usage. Like, right there, that's a bit of a greedy deflect. But I want to be efficient of your time here because, I mean, do you see the difference in value? Like, you are a menace. And to give your diva credit as well, she's also doing the right thing because you guys both kind of operate in the same space. And you're almost like, it feels like you're like, I don't know, like 3v5ing in some ways. It's like your Ana, and your diva are just kind of like doing everything. But look at this.
Yeah, they just can't really clear us.
They can't clear you, right? This is one of those deflects that I really don't like. You know that you're not going to get the kill here, right? This, you know. And you also know that you don't need the deflect to live here, correct? You could just duck behind the corner. So then what this does is this opens up a window where a more confident Sojourn, a better mechanical Sojourn, or Pharah can actually just push you and kill you right now, even with your dash, right? So just be careful about the greed here.
Okay.
Deflect either needs to be, hey, I'm going to get a lot of value, maybe even a kill out of this, or I need this to save my life so that I can keep the cycle going. But yeah, I'm going to keep going here. We're just cruising. Nicely done. The Zarya swap. That's not going to solve the issue here.
I don't know how that dash didn't hit the Mercy.
Yeah. I actually don't know how the dash didn't hit the Pharah. You see that? Check this out.
That one?
Yeah. Look at that. Doesn't hit her. Always risky to blade post deflect, I will say. Just keep that in mind. Okay, yeah, that's you got scammed. You got scammed once, but you got scammed twice. I don't know. I mean, like I said, killer instinct. I respect it. I'm always a hater of deflect then blade. I just think that's generally like almost always a bad idea because you're gonna get focused. But I saw the vision. I think the execution was honestly pretty good as well. You just got scammed. Did you go next? Like, unironically, if you see an opportunity with Blade and the difference between that Blade and the previous one as well is like, obviously, yeah, it's pharmacy, but you were on top of them. And like, that to me is good. Like, you need to be on top of people to Blade successfully as opposed to the Ashe where you had to reach. So yeah, the deflect thing sucked, but most of the time, if you Blade like that, you're going to be successful. To be honest, just go back. Just dash right now. Just go right now. Yeah, just go right now. Where's your team?
They're all just kind of
they're right there, right? You have help. You have help, right? And the big difference here is the Zarya swap, right? So she can't help. So you're gonna get Pharah and Mercy come after you, but we've seen how that's gone before, right? Even without the diva help, I think you can dash. I think you can deflect. I think you can hide. I think there's a real world here where like you could still do work. My concern is that your team's going to try to take this fight in the... Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Your team's going to try to take the fight in the bridge. Your diva's going to die. Your cast is going to die because the difference between this rotation and the previous rotation is obviously your Ana's not there, but also because you're over here and you're not actually forcing resources. You see that?
You can just walk forward.
Right. So I don't think this is a mistake from you because I think you're thinking we're going to fight here. Well, I can really help here, but your team wasn't on the same page. So my point being is that either choice makes sense. This is fine too. I would die here. I was gonna say, like, you need to fight. Like, this fight is lost. You need to go. This is optimal fight location for you here, right? So just if you die, right? Get trades. This is important. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Nice. You see what I'm saying? Again, all of a sudden we're down 1, we're down 2, and we're miraculously getting trades. Why? Because we're here, right? Like, again, you were just you were the best DPS in the game at these kind of locations. I like this too. This is good. Threatening the spawn camp. She can't. I don't know what she's doing. She cannot win that duel. Good. Yeah, I mean, it's just fine. It's fine. She should have died, but she's fine. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, now, this is where things change. You notice this, right? The map geometry has changed. So you have to think more creatively and a little bit outside of the box. What's your advantage here, right? It's rough, right? No verticality. So what do?
On this one, I kind of like trying to make it inside behind him or on the bridge, honestly.
Sure. More flanky, right? Almost like a budget tracer, right? Definitely not very good at it, but you're better than Afara Sojourn is at it, so let's see what you do. But yeah, you're gonna have to do little scam stuff like this, right? And then frankly here, you need to spend less time here. You need to be thinking more about deep left, you need to spend more time about deep right. I know the grav, but you gotta be thinking like, what's the next step? This is good. This is space for you. We're back in our playground again. Sure, might as well, there's nothing really to do. Oof. Oh, nice. We got a bubble out. Okay, so then now, yeah, I'd freaking hate that deflect. You got to stop these deflects, right? There's no chance of getting a kill here. Zero chance. And you know for certain that you're going to need this deflect in the next, what, 8 seconds, right? So, yeah, come on. Hold the space. Sit here with Blade. Anything even sniffs this direction, pop it immediately. And have your deflect. Like right now, you need this deflect for this to work. You need this deflect. Oh, never mind, you're just the greatest. Your Winston builds you out there. Yeah, I will say though, like, you know, I mean, obviously you're playing Genji on a good map, but there is a distinct difference with how you're playing second and third and how you played first. You noticing this? Part of it was because I think you were I think the reason why, and maybe you can correct me here, felt like an over fixation on marking that left flank.
I think so, yeah.
Right, and it's just not the best space for you. I think the way that you approached the Widow was really good because you were able to find some verticality, but then once Pharah's at you, once Widow's rotated to the other side, and now you're sniping a Widowmaker, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Even an Ana can push you out there. So just the reality is just like ignore it. Play on main, play up on the top high ground, take the short angle from there, shoot tank, right? It doesn't really matter what you shoot, just play your space. And once you did that on second, early second, late second, early third, at night and day, right? Like phenomenal work from you. So, okay, any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Okay, so big feedback for you is micro. Be really cautious about your deflect usage in situations when it's not saving your life, blocking a crucial cooldown, or finishing a kill, right? Like big damage, right? And then the macro is just making sure that you're playing space that actually complements what your hero does. So big picture, simple one, more of a detail micro thing. I like the killer instinct. And yeah, and I think it just goes to show that, like, you know, you're playing at a pharmacy, Zarya. I mean, these are not Genji friendly heroes, right? But you play Genji friendly space, and it just doesn't really matter that much, right? I like this rotation.
I don't know about deflect on the turret.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it felt like you were mid deflect elsewhere. It felt like you were thinking, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Whatever. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I was gonna never mind. Gonna cut you some slack, but never mind that.
Not worthy of defense there.
Not worthy of defense here. This is interesting for like a short-term thing, but you know that this is never gonna work long-term, right? You get the element of surprise, you throw 3 shurikens, but again, this is not your playground, so it's not going to work. You really have 2 playgrounds here. Where are they?
Either up top on our side or theirs, I guess.
Yep, so you're gonna hang around here, mark pharmacy, maybe shoot a little bit of ball, poke from here. This is your space here. Nobody can really push you out here, or you hard flank and you go for backline. You got high risk, high reward, you got lowest, low reward. Your choice, right? So let's see what you do, because this will never work. That's just will always be a negative HP trade. I mean, you could throw like a series of shurikens there just to kind of like bait some attention and then back off, but you can't peek twice. Even this, right? Like immediately, right? This just doesn't work. It's too far. So have they backed off, you immediately need to go deep in your flank. This is not safer. This is more risky. So you need to go dash left. Or yeah, just walk. This works too. Now the interesting thing here, okay, as we go back into our space, nice job. The interesting thing here is, you know, you can go with this here, but if the fights like ever devolve here and you're like, I can't even do this because it just poked me out, you can also just short range off angle here, right? Remember, the verticality is a nice plus, but all we're really looking for is a short range off angle, right? Like you're really good at those. So you could, if the fights devolve on cart, you could sit here. You can also sit here. So just kind of see what's available. Nice. I mean, again, it's not a miracle, not a mystery as to why this is working, right? Huge value. Really hard for that Pharah to do anything. Look at this. She's trying so hard. and just making her look stupid. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Let's keep going. I would like to look at a little bit of Ana, so I'm going to kind of cruise through this.
Sure.
Just to continue to look for more examples of what we were looking for. Go back up top. Again, they just can't push you out. Yep. Oh dear. I mean, this is just textbook, right? Like, look how easy this is.
Yeah, I think I kind of blundered it here, but...
You notice why it's a blunder, though? What's the difference between the last time you bladed Pharmacy?
It's not on top of him.
Yeah, it's a reach, right? It's the reach, right? You got to be really careful with the reach. You notice why all of a sudden you can't win this trade, right? Because look at where you're at, as opposed to where you were, right? So it's like, it's not the fact that you focus far, it's the fact that you focus far there. Like, you'll never do that. Get across, get across. Yep, get him out, get him out, get him out, get him out, get him out. See, I wouldn't even really bother too much with it. I mean, this is fine, I guess, but like, again, this is, you just gotta end up here anyway. So if anything, maybe you just dash to sneak behind.
Okay.
But you notice that, like, I don't hate this. Like, I see the vision, but man, you could just, you know, like this spot, like, comes in. Yeah. Like, if you want to sneak up behind and then catch the Sojourn off guard and then play from here. But again, it's this space is just like it's like your, I'm trying to think, it's like a spaceport, you know, like where you have, like, you're able to send out a lot of power from this location. It's like a fueling location. Like, as long as you're here, you're safe and you're dangerous, right? It's like some weird analogy that you're like a turret more than Torbjorn is, you know? Like, from that spot, you're really dangerous, you know? I don't know, maybe the analogy is getting a little too thick. Oh, so we're trying here. But again, here, like, if you think about this, the reason why this works is because you're staging from here, right? They don't see you approach. Like, you just materialize within 10 meters, right? That's really tough for Sojourn to deal with. I will say again, if your intention was to dash, then please do not deflect now. Dash first. Okay, yeah. Shoot the shurikens, dash first, or react to the fire rocket. I don't feel like this was a react to fire rocket. Maybe it was. Felt like almost an afterthought. But dash, if you're going to commit, dash first, deflect later. Get the commitment, throw the shurikens, then deflect. Because you've committed, there's going to be more of a panic response off of you being on top of them than the other way around, right? So the micro here, if we were to slow it down, would be to peek, throw shurikens. Then you could either deflect when they look at you and then just hold the corner, not dash at all. Or you throw shurikens, they throw shurikens, they look at you, dash through, throw shurikens, they panic, turn 180, deflect, right? This feels like, I don't think you're deflecting in response to the Pharah looking at you. I think it's anticipating the Sojourn looking at you, but she wasn't looking at you, so there was no reason to deflect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
More of a micro thing, but I think that you can definitely benefit a lot from going into your games and like really looking at every single deflect and being like, with the information that I had, did that make sense? Again, Playground, you're just really unkillable here, so. Good. Again, you know, who cares? It's far. Doesn't matter if it's far. If you have that space, you're just unstoppable. You could just shoot Rein here from this angle. Early deflect, you're full HP basically. I probably would have saved that a second later. That's more of the deflect that we want to see, right? Like, you obviously didn't quite get the kill that you wanted. That right click right there really needed to hit, and she got massive disruptor shot value. But yeah, that's kind of more the timing of when we want to see the deflect. Justice reigns from above. Okay. Let's see. I like the staging. It's fine. I think that's kind of cute. Now, you know where you need to get as soon as you possibly can now, right? It's here again, right? As soon as you possibly can you get there? And there it is, right? I predict that assuming nobody dies in the next 3 seconds, that you're going to win this fight.
Except 2 people died. Or no, they didn't.
Oh, it's messy. I like that. Yeah, good. Good proximity. And good use of your jump as well. You just needed to deflect there. Probably didn't even know that Pharah was alive, to be honest with you. You guys still win this, maybe? Wait, what? GTP to the bridge?
I don't think we do.
Oh, no. Yeah, get her out.
This ends now.
Yeah, it's kind of, it feels, okay, so this is what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, there's a little bit of panic because Kiriko's dead. But don't change the way that you're playing. You know, if the fight's going to be breaking out on cart, you want to do the exact same thing and do what you're doing here. Like, you felt the value here, right? Like, this is, you didn't demand a lot of resources. There's a lot of, so I think once you got caught out here, now to be honest with you, I don't think this fight is won. You and your team screwed up last fight. You had the ult bank last fight and you didn't win. And so you're going to lose the game as a result off of that. But if you're going to win, it's going to be from space that actually makes sense. And this space just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Maybe if you were here, right? But you need to get there now. And obviously now it's like you're kind of cooked. So I don't think you played poorly here. I think it was relatively reasonable. But there's definitely some mechanical moments specifically with your deflect. I think proximity with your blade. Let's just do this really quick. Proximity, blade, deflect, decision making, kill, defense, etc. Reacting to enemy lethal attention. Playing spaces that are your strength. Make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about any of that?
I don't think so.
Feels pretty bare bones, yeah. Pretty fundamental. Nothing flashy or fancy, but yeah, that's exactly what you need to work on. In terms of mechanics with Genji, the only thing I would say, and this is something that I think every Genji needs to work on, and I saw some in your gameplay, watch the alt fire flicks. We get very jerky with alt fire unnecessarily. A lot of Genjis do, myself included. So try to be as fluid as you can and only flick if the target is off your screen. So if you're doing a 180 combo, you need to flick, right? But don't jerk unnecessarily. If you watch a lot of high-level Genji, like the best of the best, looks very fluid, almost robotic, because you don't need to flick because you're alt firing. You could be very fluid. Think about how you aim with your primary fire versus your alternate fire. They should look similar in most situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think one of those, when you lost the Sojourn duel with the Disruptor shot, you remember that one? That was one of those where you were very flicky and panicky up close, and you ended up missing a lot of alt fires that you probably shouldn't have missed because of that habit. Okay. I'll take a quick look at Ana. The best Ana skin. Nice taste. A little bit.
This must have been a late night game because there's a play later where my hazard is shattered and I have nano and I just don't do it.
It's fine. We'll cut you some slack. We've only got a few minutes here anyway, so we'll do a speed run here. I don't mind this rollout here. I think it's all right. Most fights happen on point, so I like you holding this angle. I think the only way that you win this is if you get... I wouldn't put too much attention on Ryan because you're not going to win this fight if you're killing Ryan, right? You're down 1, down 2. I would just be looking for picks here. I know it's like, it's one of those dopamine things, right? Like, oh, if I get the nade, if I get the shot, you're just shooting a shield nade, right? The only way you win is if you 3-tap this Juno, right? Let's be honest. Or this, right? Like that's how you win right there. Sure. A little bit risky to open yourself up the Reaper there, but I think it was worth the risk. It's always the case with Sleep Dart, right? Risk versus reward. Okay. I don't mind the rotation forward, but then you need to peek the angle left or right. And then obviously you need to listen and rotate according. Yeah, so Ryan goes left, you go right. I'm going to do a bit of a speed review here. If you have any questions just about Ana, just let me know. All right?
Okay, sure.
Nade this, please. Oh, that's a lazy nade. You got to take the opportunities that are given to you, and you got to take them confidently, right? I think, and actually, Ryan probably the worst nade target for you, just because he can shield it out. I don't know if you are worrying about Suzu, but do not ever worry about Suzu, frankly, because longer CD... And nade for Suzu is always a good trade for nade, almost without exception, because it's never just Suzu. It's always Suzu plus Kiriko repositions or Juno panics or they hide. You get what I'm saying, right?
Right.
So like right here, I see this. I'm nading this 100%. In fact, I don't even know if I'm rotating back. I think I'm holding the angle as long as I can hold my sleep dart. You gotta be a playmaker with this character. Yeah, this is fine.
But this is silly, though.
It's fine. It's fine. But remember, you hold your insurance policy. Now, you swing too far from the corner, right? Like, this is way too wide. You should be hugging here. But really, as long as you hold sleep here, and his shield's that low, he cannot block your sleep dart. Just hold the sleep. Because as soon as you use the sleep dart, as soon as, yeah, you see it, right? As soon as you use the sleep dart, now he can do whatever he wants. So really, sleep dart is your insurance that allows you to hold whatever angle that you want. Nade and your damage is the burst of value from that angle, and sleep dart's what allows you to maintain it. So get value with nade and shots, and then allow yourself to do whatever position you want because you have sleep dart and cover. Nice. I would just go ahead and rotate here. Oh, that's goofy. That sleep needed to hit. I don't think it matters, but obviously needed to hit. I mean, this is... I will say, like, what rank are you at with support right now?
My peak is Masters 2.
Okay. Where are you at right now?
I think I D-ranked to Diamond 1.
Okay. I know a lot of, like, support players be like, this guy's just playing DPS. I'm like, well... It works. All right. And you are healing your team. This nano's good. I like this nano. He's fighting, so it's not a sexy nano, but it's gonna get you out of the choke, right?
Right.
Oh man, you cannot miss these nades. Like you have like the thing I'm seeing with your nades is you have like a vague concept of what you're trying to aim for, but you don't have a specific target or location in mind, and it's really killing you. Like you look at this here, it's a 5-man EMP. You could nade anybody you want. You have freaking walls. What is that nade aim for, right? You didn't even look at the soldier, right?
Yeah.
That's just really inexcusable. War crime level nades here. Good shots. Yeah, this is really good attention management. Like, look at this. This is really nice. Nice sleep dart. Good heal. Good shot from Ryan. And you go, oh, Kiriko. So you get Kiriko out. Then you heal him. Then you're like, okay, Ryan. Okay, Hazard taking damage. Back to Ryan. Hazard taking damage. Nade's good. I mean, this is like, I just beat you over the head with the stick for that nade, and then you just completely went nutso. You went Joe Nuck on us here. So, yeah, that was deadlift from you. And the nano was good too, like really well timed. Your hazard was already committed, and then you nanoed his commitment. I felt like this nade was a little bit more intentional. Still feels a bit rushed, but yeah, we'll take it. The only nitpick I would have here is be a little bit more deliberate with your rotations here. So as soon as you get Disruptor Shot, just quickly move to the next cover. Actually, no, you know what? I lied. You did it. Totally disregard. I mean, this is something spicy. Let's see here. Could you have lived this? Nade was good. So, oh, the sleep was bad. That's what the problem was.
Yeah.
So you panicked your sleep a little bit. I don't know. I think this is like one of those moments where things get really hectic, and you kind of, the Sojourn angle is really rough. I'm not going to blame you too much for that. Sure, I like this. If you're going to be able to break the choke, you can do so from now. Uh-oh. Nice. Could be a lot worse. I mean, I think it's okay. I really think it's okay. She just beat you. You know, she just caught you with your pants down. You were a little bit predictable with your rotation, but I don't think that you shouldn't have gone here. I think you needed to go here. The nano was fine. Yeah, go next. Big thing for me were the first couple of fights and the ugly nades. Like, it's inexcusable that you're in this situation where you have to win this fight. That's kind of bad. You know, whether getting pinned from the Rhine or what. Let's keep going here. Okay, give me just a second. Still finishing. I have a session after this, and I was letting him know that we're running a little over. Okay. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Deliberate with your nades. If you hold an aggressive angle, hold the sleep as an insurance of anything that will push you. Obviously, if you're playing a composition like this, for example, probably don't need to hold the sleep because there's nothing that is going to push you. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I need you to rotate left. ASAP. Play a sniper on her. Yeah, this is good. I would keep the rotation if I were you, all the way to cover. Just get to here, right? Just so you're not hovering in the open. That way, so if you can get the hustle going here. One other thing as well with the anti-nade, I felt like you were deliberate with your anti-nade here. Like you definitely had the arc where you wanted to go. Oh, okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I think the reality is, obviously you maybe rushed the angle a little bit there. I complimented, but actually, you know, results apparently matter here. But to me, I'm more annoyed that you threw the nade before you rotated to your angle when you were very clearly going to rotate out left. Like, I don't know if you knew that immediately, but if that's the case, nade once you start the rotation, right? So don't nade and then take your position. Take the position, then nade. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like once you're here, like this nade is monstrous, right? And then obviously, as I said, commit to the rotation all the way forward. And then as soon as you see that they're on double hit scan, you need to throw the sleep dart out right now. You just need to throw it. Beyond that, I don't think... Oh, that's a monstrous nade. Holy crap. Dude, the freaking damage orb killed Sigma off of that. Good job. Good job. Get off of point. Get off of point. Get off of point. Get off of point. You do not want to be here. Okay, that's better at least. Okay, good stuff. Good. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Looks good. Same thing here, right? Like, just like, it just doesn't... I guess I'm just not confident you're going to have it back in time, right?
Yeah.
And there it is, right? So now we don't have our anti-nade here. I don't mind this position too much. It's a good try to sleep dart, but it really needed to hit, so just be patient, right? Remember, the impetus is... It's much harder for a diva to eat sleep dart than it is the other way around. Especially in the attack situation for her, right? Like, she is so low on Matrix. She is under so much pressure, right? You just have to not sleep there, and right? You notice that? That's all you have to do. So just be patient with it. And then, okay, get the nade off. A little bit more patient there. A little bit. I think all of your nades have felt, almost without exception, a little bit rushed, a little bit panicky. A little bit rushed, a little bit panicky. A little bit more deliberate with what you're doing with them. I like the proactivity, though. You've got the killer instinct that we saw with the Genji, and it's serving you well. That always throws me off, the left-handed or sleep dart.
I know.
I cannot get used to that. It's like why I think I actually have this weapon. I don't remember, but I actually can't equip it. It just drives me nuts. Oh, that's a disaster. Okay, so I think maybe you got baited because you're like, he thought he was diving in, but he can't reach that. He's just not engaged at all.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt. Well, I guess he walks into the freaking visor. Okay, let me look at this again. Did you rush another nade is the question. Nade there is probably fine. Sleep dart is probably fine. I honestly probably would have held the angle there, but I think this is okay too. Yeah, you needed to nano your Moira. Like, no joke. Or nano your hazard now, right?
Right.
The nade there was pretty reasonable. It was a bit lucky that Viva caught it with the last little bit of her Matrix. That sleep is a bit rushed. See, you're thinking about going left. Oh, he just got murdered. I'm trying to think here. What's the is there any takeaway here? Is this diva just elite? I mean, I think she just murdered you. That's a tough one, right? Because you're always thinking like, oh man, like she's just gonna Matrix, right? I don't think there's an easy answer there. I think what you can do is when she dives you like that, look down. That's a pretty surefire way to get her to stop shooting, right? And then you don't even necessarily need to nade yourself. Just look down. And so then she stops and starts to Matrix. And then you kind of open yourself up a window after that.
Okay.
But that's more of a micro thing. I don't think you terribly misplayed there. It was just a bit of a gamble from her, and she won. Definitely should nade that. Just get her out. Oh, that's terribly MP. So this is also where Yudi can be thinking about, once this Sombra's dead, you need to be thinking about a different angle. What angle?
I would say the close right one.
Yeah. So just even this, rotating to here and being like, hey, like, let's nade this. You know what I'm saying? Or like shoot this or sleep this. And then even if you're able to get him out, even you taking this position here, yeah, it's a risk for sure. But like you have to create some space here, and you can kind of see like your impact here isn't really all that much. No comment. I saw that. But there just isn't, you don't have any space, and you're not contributing all of a sudden. So I know this is a difficult choke, but even just changing your sightline, like you need to create space here, and you have not created any space. So obviously not the most amazing sample size for Ana, but I think we'll say more deliberate with who and where you are needing. Use sleep as insurance when you have greedier angles. And then finally, just super discipline with cover. I mean, this is a classic one, even for like pro players, where like the more confident and cocky they are, the more impact that they have, but also the more likely they're to break like cover fundamentals, right? So it's just like one of those things where you don't get really any reward for being far from cover, right? The angle's good, right. You get reward for the risk, but being far from cover provides you with no value at all. So, okay, any questions?
Oh, I know the DPS passive got buffed recently. Does that affect Ana in any way? Like,
no.
Should you be healing more, or
no,
just kind of do the same?
No, just do the same. I mean, if anything, you should be healing less, right? So because there'll be more situations in which you would do 75 damage and do like what 60 healing, right? So then 65 healing. So then, if anything, like the reward of doing damage to a target that's shooting your tank is probably going to be more important than the healing itself. So, but I don't think that that's going to consciously change any of the decisions. Think about what you did on the DePaul Shrine when you managed shooting Ryan, shooting Kiriko, and healing your hazard. Right? You kind of decided squishy first. Okay, I'm going to get my tank out of critical, and then I'm going to shoot their tank. Okay, I'm going to get my tank. Right? That was perfect. Right? That's perfect. That doesn't really change your decision making much at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
we did speed run. We did speed run a lot of the gameplay stuff because we did have 2 heroes to look at. And we had a lot of discussion at the start. So if anything doesn't sit well, you think about it, you try to execute it, doesn't feel right, I just want you to let me know, okay?
Okay.